Travis Wayne, good soul. So, watching the news, I'm reminded that we are upon Hanukkah. Can't do the gutturals. And it began 1 hour and 38 minutes ago at 6 p.m. And so I take you to Joseph Smith's second vision, in which he says that he was visited by Emmanuel, the sun god at noonday. If you're not going to follow my channel, don't put a hate comment or say something stupid because of your ignorance. On the 21st of September, 1823. Yes, this is the bicentennial year. This was a big year, and the church did nothing except on the day of. Don't even think about it. On the day of, they just said it's the 200th anniversary of the restoration of the gospel. Oh, no. Church is covering something up. They're hiding something from you. And so, all this year, I've been focusing my attention on this bicentennial year, as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wants nothing to do with the learning of the Jews. And so, because it was in the evening of the 21st, it was actually the 22nd in the Jewish calendar. Okay? So it technically is the 8th day, or Kislev, the 25th day, as it starts on the 24th in the evening, or the 7th in the evening, which is today is the 7th. And so I utilize cgsf.org /DBEATTIE /calendar for reference to the Jewish calendars with our current calendar. And you can go anywhere back and forward in time to know when the holy days of the Jews would be. And so, yes, I've run the test going back to 0, which you need to understand is not 0. It's 1 BC. And went forward, checking all that stuff. And the holy days of the Jews, the Bible Dictionary of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does explain the main ones, but they don't talk about the learning of the Jews. And in the previous Jasmine video I just did, I mentioned finding a book that talks about the Jewish calendar as prophecy of the Jews. And then had found a Christianized version who was upset about the solar calendar of the Jews being replaced by the Babylonian version, and he didn't even recognize that it was the Babylonians who assimilated them to turn it into a lunar calendar, but claimed that it wasn't prophetic now that it was the lunar calendar about Jesus, as his bias was ruining his whole argument. And so I didn't put that book on my wish list. But I already know the information. And so the other book would only be for fun, to see what he knows. But he's not going to be able to teach me anything that I don't already know. And it's a shame that the majority of my Mormon audience who come to attack me just deny who I am and what I've accomplished in my life. But nonetheless, everything that the Jews prophesied about in their calendar, in their scriptures, are all about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Not even the Jews know that. They should have if they had remembered their origins from Egypt. Those Babylonians, naughty. However, there is still a connection to the associative memory. It always screws me up. The Babylonians. I was trying to think of the whole Levant, and I couldn't think of it. And so it lasts for 8 days. And so it's the 8th through the 15th. So you have to count 8. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 8. And so at 6 p.m. on the 15th, it ends. And so on the 3rd of Tibet, it ends. At 6 p.m. That's the difference with the Jewish calendar. Kislev is the 3rd month of the civil calendar and the 9th month of the ecclesiastical calendar. And that's why I mentioned 9/11 in the Jewish calendar for you. The 2 Fridays ago? It was Black Friday. So yeah, 2 Fridays ago. And I was wearing red. Anybody know their Isaiah 63? Prophecies about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Everything, guys. I've been trying to tell you all these 7 years. And yes, the latter days is 8 years. Gotta count 2017. 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2023, 2024. Did I do that right? It should have been 8. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah. I missed a year, didn't I? And so the names for the majority of the Hebrew calendar are Babylonian. There's only a few that are pre-Babylonian, only because they were recorded in the Jewish scriptures, so that we know the difference. But it's only just a few. And so the knowledge of the previous calendar is lost for the most part. But if you know that it was more associated with Egyptian, then you're good to go. Even though you may not know the Paleo-Hebrew version of the name. And so this month is often referred to as the dream month. And so if you know your story about Joseph of Egypt, he had dreams. And so that kind of dreams. It's also important to know because of, we'll come back to your Revelation, in the Jewish Torah, book of Numbers, chapter 12, verse 6. Pay attention, Mormons. It's all about you. Moses' brother and sister, Miriam and Aaron, were forming a coup to overthrow Moses and take over his church. And they were upset about that Ethiopian wife that he had, not the other one of Jethro, or Ru. They use it just once, but it's Ra, the sun god, and then the other spelling with the word. But anyway, I digress. And so, in verse 6, the Lord, in a pillar of the cloud, stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth, in verse 6. And he said, Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision. So Joseph Smith's first vision, I saw a pillar of light exactly over my head, above the brightness of the sun god at noonday, the Egyptian Amen. Emmanuel, as Isaiah calls him. God, Amen. And will speak unto him in a dream. Okay, now hold this thought. Visions, dreams, a prophet. This is the learning of the Jews. This is their scriptures. It was written by Jews. It's supposed to be interpreted with a Jewish understanding, not a Christian or Islamic understanding, or a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints understanding. But it is all about you, Mormons. And so we get to verse 15 in Deuteronomy 18. This is the law of the Jews. When you read in the New Testament and they talk about the law, this is the book they're referring to. This is their Christ. And Jesus did not fulfill it. First of all, it was written by a Jew. And so obviously Jesus isn't the fulfillment. He's just another prophecy. And so here's the prophecy in the law of the Jews about their Jewish Christ who is to come in the latter days. And remember, it has to do with Mormons. The Lord God will raise up unto thee a prophet, and he will speak to him in dreams and visions. Joseph is one of them. From the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me, unto him ye shall hearken. Remember that second vision? Who appeared to him again? It was Nephi, as he said, but described as Emmanuel. And so in verse 40, he says, he quoted also the 3rd chapter of Acts, 22nd, 23rd verses. Precisely? Are we sure? Maybe you should check it to see if cut off is precisely as it stands in 3rd Acts, 22nd, 23rd verses. Hint, hint. He said that prophet was Christ. I wonder what Acts says. You can click on your link to Acts for the footnote below. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto you of your brethren like unto me. A man like Moses, the Christ of the Jews, who is the latter-day Christ. And stay away from verse 23 because it's precisely as it stands. So it would have to be cut off, wouldn't it? But remember, it's about you, Mormons. So, if the Book of Mormon is in the learning of the Jews, would that be in the Book of Mormon too? Verse 5 of 2 Nephi, chapter 3. Wherefore Joseph of Egypt truly saw our day, and he obtained a promise of the Lord, that out of the fruit of his loins the Lord God would raise up, there's a pattern match, a righteous branch unto the house of Israel, but not the Messiah. Somebody else? But a branch which was to be broken off. Well, who's this? Do they give a name for him in verse 15? Yep. We all know it's Joseph Smith Jr. But a branch which was to be broken off, nevertheless, to be remembered in the covenants of the Lord. So we have Joseph Smith first, and he's already come. He's already set things up for the latter days. And then that the Messiah should be made manifest unto them. Who's them again? It's all about Mormons in the latter days, bringing of them out of darkness unto light, yea, out of hidden darkness, and out of captivity unto freedom. Hanukkah is the festival of lights. There's a fifth dark day. Everything is about you, Mormons. There it is, Hanukkah. Talking about your Messiah should be made manifest during Hanukkah. 200 years later, from the 1823. Where is he? Does Joseph Smith explain who he would be? Doing the videos for 7 years. Doctrine and Covenants, section 103, verse 16. Therefore, after Joseph Smith, I will raise up unto Mormons a man who shall lead them like as Moses. And there's led out of bondage, captivity. So both spiritual symbolism and physical reality are involved here. Mormons are in darkness mentally. Mormons are in bondage physically. Hanukkah. But Mormons are not listening. What's going to happen if you don't listen to him? Who is he? What's his name? So, just further confirmation that this is what Joseph Smith is talking about. Section 107, verse 91 and 92. Again, the duty of Joseph Smith, the president of the office of the high priesthood, is to preside over the whole church and to be like unto Moses. The keys of Moses are for the president of Joseph's church. What keys does President Russell Marion Nelson have to be the president of the church? Give you a hint. He did a photo op at the Vatican Temple. He claims Peter. Wrong keys. He does not have the keys to be the president of the church. And so, when did Joseph get those keys? Do you guys not study your scriptures? Section 110, visions at the Kirtland Temple. Oh, look, a Jewish holiday, just like on the 21st of September, 1823. And so here we have the third day of Passover, April 3rd, 1836. And so you go down to 11. There is no Jesus here. The closest is Elias, which is technically Elishua, because the gospel of Abraham is the gospel of salvation. Salvation in Hebrew is Shua. And so the God of Shua, God of salvation. Hey, Yahshua, or in Greek, Jesus, is the God Yah of salvation. But here it's just God of salvation. You see Yah in Jehovah, which is Yahweh. But I don't care about phonetics. I care about the pictures, because the pictures have all the meaning that I can see and visualize. And so after this vision appeared with Jehovah, the heavens were opened again unto us, and Moses appeared before us. Vision, dream, not literal history. That's a naughty no-no Christian interpretation, whether it's Trinity or non-Trinitarian. And committed unto us the keys of the first presidency, the first president of the church, which are the keys of the Christ. See, Nelson doesn't claim to be the Christ. He instead puts it off on this Jesus guy who the Jews said isn't real. He's a symbol, a type and shadow of the man like Moses. And it's all about Mormons. He will be a Mormon. Human. Be careful about being cut off. Precisely as it stands. And so yes, the gathering of Israel, that's part of the Exodus. Gathering to Zion. Not stay where you are. Because why? Section 45 tells us, because it will be the only place on earth that will not be at war. Oh, there's a war going on. Huh. And it just happens to coincide with both Ezekiel 38, with the Russians attacking Ukraine, and Israel being attacked by the whole world. Everybody wants to blame Israel. And so, yeah, the Iranian leader visiting Moscow with Putin condemned Israel. What a surprise. Ignoring Hamas, going right after blaming Israel. What a surprise. And so he's aiding and abetting Hamas. They're terrorists. Anybody who supports terrorists are likewise terrorists. Everybody are terrorists against Israel. And why are they doing it? Because they think the Bible of the Jews is literal history. So they're waiting for Jesus to come and destroy everybody who's not of their religion. Because yes, Islam has a Jesus too. And he's Muslim. And he's going to murder you Christians and Mormons. They're terrorists. Everybody who's not Jewish are terrorists. Dear God. So. Then you have the God Yah. I thought we already had the God Yah with Jehovah. It's a vision. Alrighty. And so, let's put it back on Revelation, chapter 12. And let's get us back into Tevet. And notice that it's B, but also V, depending on which phoneme language you're using. And so, yes, Travis has the T, which is actually the Paleo-Hebrew X for the Chi symbol in Greek. And then R, which is a God symbol from the Egyptian flag for God. And then the B, the V, B. And so Rab is rabbi in Hebrew. Jesus, that messianic character of those Jewish authors, is referred to as rabbi. And he died on what? Rabbi of the cross. Just so that you understand a little Hebrew. So I still wonder who that guy is you're supposed to look for, Mormons, because it's all about you. And so the first of Tevet is the 6th day of Hanukkah this year. It's the 13th of December. It's on a Wednesday, not a Friday. And it's the day after the 5th dark day of Hanukkah. And so we're going to have to get to Esther, talk about her, but also the Maccabean revolt. The first of Tevet is when Ishtar, Esther, was crowned Queen of Persia. Mesopotamian. That's the word. Ishtar is a Mesopotamian goddess. And so the book of Ishtar is using Babylonian deities this time, which also come from the Egyptians. She's Isis. And so her story, likewise, is in the Learning of the Jews, having been written by a Jew, thus talking about the latter days. And so, she has symbolism. She is not to be taken literal as literal history, because we just can't find her as one of the wives of the king of Persia. But they are using that historical background to prophesy of the future. And so Purim is where her big story comes into play. But this is understood as the day when she is crowned queen of Persia. She usurps the government. But as a female, she is religion. The merging of religion with government. And so it is the 4th month in the civil year and the 10th month of the ecclesiastical year. And there's meaning behind the numbers in Hebrew as well. And it's the muddy month in the Babylonian version of the name. Okay. Done with these. Span that out. And we probably should take you to the pictures that are going on for the first day here. Alrighty. Alright, so technically tomorrow is our first day of it, even though it already began 2 hours and 10 minutes ago. And the moon for religion is in the Virgo Virgin constellation, female religion. Seeing a pattern? We have Venus in conjunction, female, church, religion. So you got the 3 women all together in a constellation this year, the bicentennial year, and it starts Hanukkah. And the moon is at the Bethlehem star, the house of bread, Spica. And you're going, wait a minute, Virgo, Virgin, house of bread, Bethlehem, does it? Yes. But that was back in 2017. The start of the latter days. And so the moon is at the birth position, the birth star. So it's now beginning. And Ishtar, Esther, Isis, is believed to have been crowned in preparation for Purim next year, right before the last day of the latter days. Just 2 weeks away. It's all about Mormons. All right. In Revelation chapter 12, hey, there's that Virgo giving birth to Jupiter in 2017. Hey, the Book of Mormon, Lehi's second vision includes the same sign. Lehi's second vision is also an exact pattern match with Joseph Smith's second vision, in which he talks about the coming of the Mormon Christ. Start of his ministry, huh? In Matthew, it's Bethlehem of Utah. Phonetically the same as Judah. It's all about Mormons. And so, this is a precise date, because the more celestial bodies you include in a conjunction, the more precise of a date you have. And everything is included here. And so it's a one and only date. It will never happen before. It will never happen again. And it's already happened. 23rd September 2017. Every astronomer knows this. China knew it. They made t-shirts. I bought one. I did pictures with me in the t-shirt. And so, even the Joseph Smith translation reveals that Joseph Smith knew the date and was telling Mormons about it, because he moves verse 5 to verse 3. And look, there's a footnote, 1a. Joseph Smith translation, Revelation 12, 1-17. Appendix. Note the changed sequence of verses in the JST. It's all about Mormons. And so this video, I get to remind you again of the previous videos I did back in 2017 about verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, another sign, something different, something after 23rd September 2017. A great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. 17 December 2017, the 5th dark day of Hanukkah. And so, on that day, we get to resurrect the photo. You have Saturn, the Sun, the Moon, Venus, and Mercury there at the tail of the dragon, so that it can now have the total number of stars that it requires from Revelation. Guess who's at the top of the scales of judgment to be the judge? Jupiter, your Christ. Fifth dark day of Hanukkah. And there's Mars, the husband of Venus. He's Lucifer, because Venus is the inverted pentagram, thus the church of Lucifer. What's on the keystone of the doors of the Salt Lake Temple? What symbol? Sure you want to call him Jesus, huh? Are you sure? Who's leading the church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints right now? What's his baby name meaning for Russell Marion? Give you a hint, it's the red star in space. Mars. And so, if you're curious, we can bring this up, because like I said, it's all about Mormons. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Russell Marion, son of the morning, Venus? But the tail is Draco the dragon, The third part of the stars of heaven falling are the quadrantid meteor showers on December 2nd, 2018. Who died then and who became the president of the church in his stead? It's all about Mormons. Alright, so now we get to talk about Hanukkah, because I can't do gutturals. Alright, so background history. Judah were who constituted Jews. They lived in Judah. They were tributary to the Egyptians. Assyria came along and took away the northern Israelites and put in Assyrians to create the Samaritans. Then Babylon conquered Assyria and came back in to get the tribute from the northern tribes of Samaritans, because they're the new king in town. Got to give tribute to them now instead of Assyria. And they decided to expand into Judah. And in 597, and that's important for those of you who actually read your Book of Mormon, because when does Lehi Exodus, learning of the Jews, a man like Moses, from Jerusalem, before being cut off by the Babylonians, precisely as it stands in our New Testament. That's 4 CE. And I'll give you a precise day, 8 April. Because guess what's coming next year? 2 weeks after Purim. And so this is observed because of the Maccabeans in the book of Maccabees. I'll just read it from Wikipedia for you. The story of Hanukkah is told in the books of the 1st and 2nd Maccabees, which describe in detail the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem. So after Babylon came back 11 years later in 586 BCE, conquered Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, took prisoners back to, hostages, back to Ur of Babylon, where the temple of Mordecai is. Book of Esther, Ishtar, Mordecai, Marduk. And under Persia, they were freed. King Cyrus makes the announcement, you can go back to Jerusalem and rebuild your temple. They eventually get there, and problems with the Samaritans, but the temple is rebuilt. This is now the 2nd temple. And then the Greeks come along, Alexander the Great. He's now the king in charge. Conquers the Persians. Everybody now gives tribute to Greece. Even the Jews who returned to Judah, Jerusalem. They are now being Hellenized instead of Babylonianized. And they take over the Jewish temple. They occupy it. They don't allow the Jews in. They're offering pigs on the altar. You can be a big pig too. Oh. Lion King. And so these Maccabeans were attempting to restore their temple back to them, to the Jews. And it would be Judas, in the sense of Judah Maccabee. Yep. Is the one who leads the Maccabean revolt and gets back the temple and cleanses it. It's got to be rededicated now because it was tainted. And as part of the rededication, you have the lighting of the menorah for the 8 days of Hanukkah, Festival of Lights. And yeah, they throw in symbolism of the future Christ, because the oil magically lasts for the 8 days. And there's miracles involved. And so it's prophecy of the latter days. Wonder if it's 200 years from Joseph Smith and his second vision. Which would be right now. And so Judah is the betrayer name, the usurper. And here he is, usurping from the Greeks. He's restoring it like the man like Moses. Judah Maccabee is the man like Moses. And he was a literal history person, but they are telling the book of Maccabees as a future prophecy of their Christ for the latter days. I wonder when those dates would be. Oh, right. Revelation told us. And so all other scriptures now need to be put into that time frame. Easy breezy cover girl, or maybe it's Maybelline. Right, Colin Jost? SNL? That was a funny skit that's still impressed on my mind. Because I always used to say, easy breezy cover girl. And so when he then said it and then added, maybe it's Maybelline, I now start adding Maybelline to it too. And so Jacob, remember him? Yeah, a certain guy pretending to be the president of the church without the keys of Moses botched the translation of Israel because he usurped the birthright and blessing from Esau, his older brother. Judah is the betrayer, the usurper, but he's restoring from the Greeks. Same pattern match. Samson, Sun King. Hey, just like Emmanuel, the sun god at noonday. He, wait for it, Mormons, because it's all about you. He's a Danite. The usurpers of Joseph Smith's church. And the Mormon, who is your Christ, is going to usurp it back from the Danites, being one of them. Pattern match. It's all about you. And so the 5th day is when the moon is new. And so it's right there by the sun so that we can't see it because of the glory and brightness of the sun god at noonday, Emmanuel. Until the angel stands in the sun on 8 April, both 4 CE and 2024 CE. The author who's writing the Book of Mormon in the learning of the Jews, knew those dates and specifically put that in there for anybody who would catch it. Apparently, I'm the only one who caught it. So I've been doing the videos about it. 20 years after. On the very same day. So what happened in 2020? See, there's the Exodus, and there's supposed to be the pattern, symbolism, type, and shadow for the latter days. So you have the man like Moses suing the great and abominable church in court. Let my people go. In 2020. You have creeping death. The blood of the Lamb on the doors. Elijah. 2020. And you have the parting of the waters and the dry land appearing for the house of Israel to exodus to Zion. Oops. It happened in 2020, but cut off, huh? So Mormons still have some time left, but are they listening? Because the harvest is over. It's time for the end. Are you listening? It's 51 minutes, 52 minutes. Oh no. Am I going to be able to get it up today? So have we covered everything? I think we have.